The Ministry of Health's second response to an interim audit of the ministry revealing possible theft of about 5 billion shillings was just as unconvincing as the first. Cabinet Secretary Cleopa Mailu says their preliminary investigations did not show any evidence that this money was actually stolen, though he needs more time to study the report.
From the information which I have, and that is why I'm pursuing further what I said, collaborating with other agencies and an independent, I have not come across if loss of money is taking raw money and putting somewhere. I haven't come to that point.
The CS says the queries raised by the audit were as a result of bad bookkeeping, such as double counting of transactions in some instances, and not necessarily fraud.
Anybody who is audited is given those queries, he responds. Even the auditor goes back to clarify, and then after that officer cannot answer sufficiently to satisfy the internal auditor, then that becomes the report which comes to the minister to be able to take action. I will be appointing an independent auditor, one of those reputable organizations, to come and evaluate and tell us whether from a different perspective we are missing something.
Top of the list of those flagged as fraudulent transactions identified by the audit report was some 889 million shillings meant to be dispersed to the counties to support the free maternity care program, and that the report says was diverted. The CS, however, says it wasn't even 800 million according to the ministry's record, and that money was not diverted but was used to procure several unspecified supplies.
That figure should stand at 586. Not that it is lesser, it's a lot of money, but it paid for goods and services supplied by people who are with us.
Estama Limited was to receive a generous share of the ministry's funds, 800 million shillings, to supply 100 mobile clinics. The company was to be paid in 3 installments.
Out of that contract, he has been paid 800 million. And there is still an outstanding 200 million to be paid for those clinics. And therefore, there is that agreement which was signed way back last year, July 17th.
The said clinics have been lying at the NYS yard in Mombasa for nearly 5 months. The ministry cites logistics as part of the reasons why they're not yet out there saving lives. The audit also says some 515.5 million shillings was lost through outright theft and double payments made under the National AIDS Control Program. The money was for buying food supplies and rations. The Cabinet Secretary says of this, 249 million shillings was paid to a local supplier. Cooperative Bank received the other 265 million that the CS says was a letter of credit on behalf of the supplier, Lifecare Limited.
But these food supplements are used for nutrition, and these there are some which are ordinary foods which are found within the country, but there are fortified foods also which come from abroad, which are used for HIV and young children, and those are manufacturers. People have to source them from abroad because they are formulas which have been approved. Therefore, they are not just tomatoes and other things. They are things which are known to be able to boost the immunity and all that.
Are we ready?
But also difficult to answer was how a company associated with President Kenyatta's sister and cousin benefited from the ministry's tenders.
A Kenyan is a Kenyan, and therefore anybody can conduct business with any institution as long as there is no conflict of interest.
Details of the unhealthy goings-on at Afya House were revealed last week. The Cabinet Secretary assures that there was no clever accounting and that in fact the math will add up after eventually interrogating all of the interim audit report. Sheila Sendeo, NTV, at the Afya House, Nairobi.